Hello everyone, my name is Harley and welcome to TransByDef. This week's topic is matters of faith, family, and friends. I believe we touched base on faith a while ago, but since this whole thing is starting new, it's kind of cool to go back over it, especially to see how evolved it has been since, my previous videos. A lot of things have changed actually. It definitely evolved. I would just start with faith because that's always a goody one to talk about. So many people will argue with that. One thing is my faith is like that. But I'll just let you know, like I was born and raised Catholic. So going into from like what the Bible says and even going through Sunday school and learning, what this and this says. However, the funniest thing is I've always been a person that questions a lot. And, I always question the logics behind it because, it's kind of funny because now I'm into computer science and I realize I work logic all the time. And it actually just got me to question more about it. And here's the thing, I'm not trying to discourage or anything, but I've always been questioning things because, like, things in the Bible are not, like, they just don't add up too much. So, and I understand where it goes to. It's, to me, my personal faith is, that's more of, like, a story of, like, guidelines of morality, and it's I really personally don't take it literally like some people out there do. It's just because, it's been edited many times. It's been actually one of the first edits was actually written, went through a process of having a bunch of poets, editing it to make it more poetically flowing. So when you think about that, it's like, holy shit, and holy shit, oh my god, I can't believe I said that. Anyways, so, and there's been like a lot of issue, like, Constantine from Constantinople, did some, touching in there. So like, I always like to find it like, yeah, it's nice and spiritual. It's something I enjoy, just being in there in the religion just because I feel right. But, I always consider it faith. I never look at it as 100% fact. I always look at it as a possibility, and that's always been my guideline. When I transitioned, before I transitioned, I was battling faith because I felt like I was sinning. People would be telling me, people would be telling other transgenders, you're sinning, and they would do Deuteronomy quotes and all these Old Testament quotes, and then you're like, what the fuck, and so I thought I had like a demon crawling inside me, whispering evil thoughts to do this, but I realized it at the time, like, that's what I thought. And then what ended up I abandoned my faith. I started doing other faiths, try to practice others, and it just never worked out, and I kind of started to realize that all the time I prayed every night for God to help me, I actually realized that if indeed there was a God and he did help me, he provided me to get courage to come out and do this myself. And that's the way I feel. My faith has definitely continued to be around Catholic, but it still is pretty open, and I don't like to prove or disprove anyone else's faith because I respect that. So it's kind of evolved on that. In fact, it probably made me a little bit more stronger with it. It sounds like I've been weak, but actually it's been more stronger because I start to just the way I feel like I've had my own evolution of faith. So and it's almost like Plato's allegory of the cave. I probably mentioned this a bunch of times, but it's a perfect example. It's like when You should read it, by the way. And I'm actually going to probably pick up a book with Plato and Socrates philosophies. But Plato described it best. It was like there's two people in a cave, and they believed in the shadows on the wall as like that's what matters, like entities are real. And then one was pulled out of the cave and realized that those shadows was caused on something by people walking by the light. And so when he went back trying to tell people, trying to tell the other person that was in it, the other one did not want to believe it. And when he was taken out, when he pulled him out, he went through that same phase where he was like, I don't want to believe it, and he wanted to go back into the cave because he felt comfortable. So like that to me is how some faith is. But like my beliefs are kind of different. I kind of believe that there is a possibility of parallel universes, and I feel that that could be where heaven and hell is, if there is one. So, that's kind of my theory behind it. But anyways, moving on to the next part of it, family. Family has evolved as well because, I was fortunate enough to have the majority of my family be very accepting. I came from a nice Italian family, very loving, and at first I really was scared that I was just going to lose everyone, and because it is a realistic situation, I was kind of prepared for that, and I was just like, I hope I don't. I think out of all of it, I just probably lost the conservatives of my family, which is kind of interesting how it's always people who are conservative that has an issue with what I do. It's true. I mean, every issue I see, it's more like conservative right-wing people. And it's kind of sad, but it's kind of good too because, America's majority of atheists. So, that's probably why, because, whatever. So, family has definitely improved. I think my mother and father relationship has definitely been more strong. It actually got more strong because now they're actually seeing the true me, and they're realizing, wow, I no longer am too depressed anymore. I'm actually enjoying life. I go on the weekends. In fact, I'm going to my parents right after this, but I go on the weekends just to chill with them, because like I felt like we just built this bond between us that now they actually know who I am, and I'm so joyful and like spreading my love about it, and it's, and I've always helped them through, the transition process because, you have to be considerate. My mom still misgenders me sometimes, my dad sometimes, but I mean, that stuff gets kind of tiring, but they've known me longer than I knew myself. It's kind of like that, because so I understand it's hard for them to transition that because hey, it's like they knew me like when I was in my mom's womb, and it was like they knew I was a boy, and so so it's like you have this future vision of stuff, so you try to change that. It's very difficult. With friends, it's a little bit easier because your friends usually you know them for like a good average of 5 years or so, sometimes longer. But because it's so short term, it's easier to for them to transition on that. Sometimes it's a little harder. Usually it's some people, I hate to say it, but this is just a realistic issue, but if you don't blend like your sex, you will be misgendered. It's pretty, often. It just sucks because, for some reason, and I don't blame it on the person because I don't think it's really a decision of that. I think it's more of a subconscious interaction, and it's just because we were raised so young to be known of who was who, and I think now that it's a subconscious thing, and I've actually read a situation where one of the first things that a subconscious mind um, does is identifies someone if they're male or female, and it's just subconsciously. And if the subconscious doesn't recognize it, then it alerts the conscious mind, hey, something's up, you know. And that's why I don't feel like it's a big blame when people misgender or things like that. I do get tired of I do get misgendered sometimes, but usually it's just with my friends who knew me before. But I'm just letting everyone know, be aware of that. In fact, transitioning, I mean, I definitely increased my friend count to the point where I feel like, holy shit, I got way too many friends. I can't keep up with everyone. And I'm always like sociable, and I always talk to a lot of people, and I like talking, but I like helping also. So it's been a challenge for that too. I'm not used to it. I'm used to being isolated with only one or two friends, and that's it. But now it's like, hey, so and so wants to hang out this week, and holy shit, okay, and it's really fun. I mean, it's interesting. I never thought I would actually get to this point. Never thought in a million years. And I kind of feel like it's kind of funny because I feel like I became the popular kid, and I hate that. I really do hate that. I mean, it's just like, you don't understand. Like, it's just something I've always did not want to see to ever become. But I try to not be that, preppy type of person where, it's just like they take it for advantage. So I always try to reasonable my friends to make sure it's usually the people I'm going to stay in contact with. So that's kind of what I do. I do get a ton of Facebook messages, and I do, friend requests, and I do apologize, but, I try to be strict on myself because I do want to give my friends quality time with me, and I don't want to gyp anyone from friendship, and I know it's kind of shit. It's kind of a shit way of thinking of it, but it's more of a, like, for me, it's more of a logical handling for myself, So, anyways, transitioning definitely involved. I'm wrapping things up. It just everything involved. Evolved. Sometimes they evolve worse, sometimes they evolve better, but I actually think good things actually, arise. I planned it out pretty good. It was a smooth transition. Transitioning on the job is a a difficult one, and now I'm actually at another job where I feel like I didn't even need to tell anyone. So I mean, if it comes up, it comes up, whatever, But I think that now people see me entering that place as a female, they won't see the other thing. So I mean, I feel everything's good right now, so I'm just gonna end it with that. So I'm learning Italian, so arrivederci, oh, ciao, whatever. Arrivederci. I'm still learning, but ciao.